53 days since Bayern München lifted the Bundesliga title for an 11th straight time. The first game of the 2023-24 campaign is upon us as the German record title holders take on 9th tier Rottach-Egern. Thomas Tuchel's charges have been enjoying glorious conditions at their training camp in the south of Bavaria and have even had a dip or two in the local lake, the Tegernsee. But Bayern, they mean business as they look to brush off the summer cobwebs against a side they last met in a pre-season friendly back in 2019. That game ended 23-0. The question tonight is, how many goals will Bayern score? Hello and welcome one and all to live coverage of this pre-season friendly, the first on the docket for Bayern München. James Surrogate, your match commentator for this one. And the locals have turned out in great number to see the German record title holders in action against their small local side. We're at the Stadion am Birkenmoos. We take a look at the starting lineup for Bayern. It's a 4-2-3-1 formation. And there is a new face in the lineup as well in the form of Konrad Laimer, making his first appearance in a Bayern kit since joining from Leipzig in the summer. He partners Joshua Kimmich in midfield. Jamal Musiala, Leroy Sané, Serge Gnabry, the players operating in behind lone striker Mathys Tel. Fair to say, plenty of unknown names in the Rottach-Egern side, but there are a pair of twins in the form of the Yilmazer, Samet and Ferhat. Top goal scorer last season, Sebastian Lechner, got 6 goals. Meanwhile, captain Franz Pietzko, well, he is the local police chief. Seems like a very appropriate choice for a club captain, it has to be said. But we are in the south of Bavaria. A rare chance for some of these fans to get up close and personal with the German record title holders. But let's be honest, they are a side Bayern that command a worldwide audience, an incredible global fan base. But it's in areas like this in the south of Bavaria, at the southern tip of the Tegernsee, where you really will find some of the most passionate supporters around. Tickets today will have cost €10 for an adult, €5 for any children between the ages of 7 and 17. Meanwhile, any children under the age of 7 have been given free admission today. Rottach-Egern, a side that finished 6th in their League of 8 last season, 15 points in 14 games. Because we play at the Stadion and Birkenmoos, they are known as the Birkenmoos 11 or the Birkenmoos 11. But let's be honest, today our focus is very much on all things Bayern München, and it's fair to say that last season was more turbulent than Bayern are accustomed to, but the hope is that with Thomas Tuchel at the helm, bigger and better things are on the horizon as he looks to get a full pre-season under his belt. And that's an important point to make for a head coach that came in late on during the season and therefore wasn't able to implement all of his ideas, didn't have the time really to make the big changes in this Bayern side. Talked back then about having to make minor tweaks to the current system. However, something tells me he's going to be spending a lot of time this summer communicating with his players, getting his idea of how he wants to operate on the football pitch, how he wants his teams to perform. And that message will be coming across loud and clear, I'm sure, during these training sessions, during the training camp. Of course, they've got a tour of Asia coming up as well. Bayern München be flying to Japan and Singapore. Bayern understandably getting a warm welcome. Not quite sure what the hold-up is. Maybe waiting on a player to come out of the changing rooms. Well, the fact is, these fans here, no doubt, excited to see their stars in action. As mentioned, we've got a couple of new faces in the matchday squad as well. One in the starting lineup in the form of Konrad Laimer, the man signed from Leipzig in the summer. And that is a big question facing Thomas Tuchel and this Bayern side. How will they line up on matchday 1 of the Bundesliga season, or perhaps in the Super Cup against Leipzig on August 12th? Who will partner Joshua Kimmich in midfield? Who will start up front? What will the centre-back pairing look like now? The fact is, Bayern naming a very strong lineup today. This isn't a squad or team full of youth players. Rottach-Egern, the 9th tier side, are getting a run out against some of the indispensable first team players in this star-studded Bayern side. And I can tell you there are going to be some nice, let's say, romantic moments in a football sense later on in this game. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But for many of these Rottach-Egern players, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I did mention that these two sides have met in pre-season once before, August 8th, 2019. Bayern coming away with a 23-0 win. They were 11-0 up at half-time. I won't read through all the goal scorers because it'll take me too long. What I can tell you is there were some big names on the score sheet that day. Lewandowski got a hat-trick. Leon Goretzka got a hat-trick. Thomas Müller got a hat-trick. And a certain Corentin Tolisso scored 4 goals unanswered in the space of 4 minutes before half-time. So his goal-scoring efforts alone took it from 8-0 to 11-0. But there is Thomas Tuchel. He's been very vocal on the training pitch. We had the first live training session of the season just a couple of days ago. All smiles right now as we're going to have a photo pre-match. And of course, the Rottach-Egern bench has to clear because everyone wants to be in the photo. Personally, I'd want to get up close and personal to these Bayern players. I'd want to get a little bit closer. There you go. Even some of the men that have been behind the scenes for decades at this small town club getting their moment in the sunshine this evening. But rest assured, once the first whistle goes, Bayern won't be pulling any punches. Nice touch as well, the new home kit being worn. 1965 inspired. Gotta say, it's a kit that certainly catches the eye. Wouldn't look bad in the collection or two. But there's the message of Mir San Mir, the club motto, on the collar. On the back of the collar, it says Rot-Weiß ein Leben lang. So red and white for a lifetime. So it is Bayern that get the ball rolling in this pre-season friendly, their first of the 2023-24 campaign. This is not the first time they're meeting Rottach-Egern from the 9th tier of German football. 4 years ago, they beat them 23-0 in a pre-season friendly just like this. And Rottach-Egern, talking before the game, have made it clear that they'd like to, this time at the very least, get themselves on the score sheet. They'd also like to prevent Bayern from breaking the 20-goal mark today. Haven't set themselves a particularly high bar, but the fact is, this is a Bayern side that are levels above many of these players. There's Konrad Laimer. His first piece of action in a Bayern shirt is to win the ball back for his new side, and let's be honest, that's going to be a common sight this season. Goalkeeper Mario Weiss is likely to be a busy man. On a day like today, if he can just get 1 or 2 saves under his belt, something tells me he'll be delighted with his work between the sticks. In some respects, these games can be the trickiest for teams like Bayern because that ultimate desire to win can't be quelled by the sentimentality of coming up against such a lower league side. For now, Musiala, Davies combining. Good ball into the middle, and Mario Weiss gobbles it up at the first opportunity. Moment to gain a bit of confidence there. The 33-year-old goalkeeper who celebrates his birthday on New Year's Day every year. Bit of a risky pass there from Friedrich Meissner. Calls for Rottach-Egern to push out a little bit with Tobias Schlichner up front. Right now it's with Nusser Mazraoui onto Leroy Sané. He can turn on the afterburners, looking for those little cute reverse passes. Davies teeing it up now for Jamal Musiala, and there is the opening goal. The man who scored the goal to win Bayern the Bundesliga last season, the man to score their last goal of the campaign, is now the man to score their first of the new season. Wonderful footwork from Musiala, just skipping past the challenge of 2 and tucking it into the bottom corner. Uh, 16 goals in all competitions last season. This one won't go on the official tally, given the fact that it is part of a pre-season friendly. But something tells me that might be a familiar sight this season for Bayern fans. Jamal Musiala with a smile on his face and the ball in the back of the net. Laimer. Lovely pocket of space found. Now with Leroy Sané. Laimer moving the ball on nicely when he gets it. Musiala now finding Davies. It's cut back to Gnabry. 2-0. Inside 4 minutes, and Bayern have already doubled their advantage. One of the heroes down the stretch last season shares Gnabry. A simple finish, it has to be said. After lovely build-up play down the left once again. But Bayern are finding space in this deep-lying back line, and they are making Rottach-Egern pay for it. The beautiful thing if you're a Rottach-Egern player is that really you have nothing to lose here. That's why they've set themselves the challenge of scoring at least 1 goal. And this their first foray forward as Upamecano forced to do a bit of defending. Musiala taking a risk in tight spaces now as well. But Bayern come away with it with Konrad Laimer. The captain for Rottach-Egern there. Defense. Pietzko gives chase as Mario Weiss collects that one. Rottach-Egern now taking a big risk at the back, and it's not going to go in from Matisse Tell. He applied the pressure. Forced the mistake out of Mario Weiss, but the home side get away with it on that occasion. Here they come down the left again, this time the cross from Davies is long. Sane and Mazraoui combined, no one picking up the run of Mazraoui. Time to pick out a teammate, he does so. Good block in the end from Pietzko, the captain. Jamal Musiala there looking for his second. Well, he is a young player with the world at his feet, and I'm sure one that Thomas Tuchel must be loving working with. The fact is, we've seen what Jamal Musiala is capable of, but so much untapped potential still as Sane strikes. Punch clear by Weiss. Fizz back in and just wide from Jamal Musiala. Bit of a loose touch there from Markus Stöckel. Here is Konrad Laimer. Love the way he takes a touch and moves the ball on, but it's now come to Leroy Sane. Sane finding a teammate, and it's Alphonso Davies arriving at the back post. 3 and easy for Bayern München so far. But getting in behind the Rottach-Egern backline. And they are showing no mercy so far. But let's be honest, you cannot afford to give Leroy Sane that type of time and space to pick out a man. One of the easiest goals that Alphonso Davies has ever scored in his professional career. Bayern have come here with a job to do. Matisse Tell might be offside here. Ball is in the back of the net again. But the flag up to deny the 18-year-old Frenchman. Scored 6 goals in his first season with Bayern. Broke a few records as well. Becoming their youngest ever goal scorer. That goal coming in the DFB Pokal against Viktoria Köln in the first round. Musiala brings it under his spell. Gnabry, lovely pass to Sane. Oh, deflected. What a save that was from Weiss in the end. He had a bit of a chuckle to himself after it happened as well there. Mario Weiss. Again. Rottach-Egern not quite spreading their lines far enough. Matisse Tell now with the strike, and it's another good save from Mario Weiss, it has to be said. There's a couple in succession after conceding 3. Couple of nice moments there for the home goalkeeper. Corner whipped in and Weiss flapped at it. Bayern going to work the angles instead here. Laimer. First touch was a little loose, but he recovered well. Pass astray, but wins it back. I'll tell you what, that's Konrad Laimer in a nutshell. What he brings to the pitch. A never say die attitude. An incredible work ethic. A terrier-like mentality. And someone that many believe is going to be a perfect fit for this Bayern midfield. The big question is, really, will it be Konrad Laimer or Leon Goretzka who start alongside Joshua Kimmich when the going gets tough in the campaign? A lovely long ball. Lovely first touch from Leroy Sané. Oh, it's off the bar as well. Well, I think he was going for the cross as opposed to the shot. Almost ended up being a fourth goal for Bayern there. But when you're 3-0 down against the German record title holders as a 9th-tier side, having a few moments of luck on your side will go a long way. But now Jamal Musiala looking to put him to the sword again, and Serge Gnabry, the first to double up on the afternoon as Bayern make it 4. Once again, Jamal Musiala and Serge Gnabry heavily involved. Well executed in the end by Jamal Musiala. He got in behind that back line. He found the space. And the finish from Serge Gnabry matching the build-up play from Jamal Musiala. Sven Ulreich there with a rare touch of the ball. Of course, the good news for Bayern München, Manuel Neuer, his recovery is coming along well. Man who broke his leg on a ski trip during the winter break after the World Cup last season. Someone that has never played under the man on your screen there, Thomas Tuchel. And Tuchel, I'll hold the thought because a chance here for a fifth, Jamal Musiala. Still Jamal Musiala, and of course it would be a 5-star performance from Bayern inside 13 minutes. Jamal Musiala is running riot, it has to be said. Even the stadium announcer is having a little chuckle about proceedings so far. But a moment, another moment for Jamal Musiala that just oozes class. So Serge Gnabry's got 2. Jamal Musiala's got 2. Strong start from Bayern. Right now, plenty of blue shirts between ball and goal, but Bayern working the channels so effectively. Rottach-Egern can't really get close enough to these Bayern players. Kimmich, delicate ball over the top. Intricate play now from the German record title holders. And this is it, with no disrespect to the home side, Rottach-Egern. This is very much a match situation that works out as a training exercise for Bayern. Rottach-Egern trying to sit deep as Bayern trying to find the passes to break them apart. Matthijs Tel using his pace to get in behind, but feeling the after effects of that 50-50 with Mario Weiss. Nothing untoward there from the keeper. It was a strong challenge, it has to be said. Not a bad backdrop, is it? The Alps just in the background. Corner comes in. That was a firm header by Nusayr Mazraoui. Weiss was equal to the effort. Of course, the big news coming out of the club today is that there is another fresh face in the Bayern ranks. Two big summer signings made already in the form of Konrad Laimer and Rafael Guerreiro. But the latest man to join the Bayern ranks, Min-jae Kim, the South Korean centre-back who has signed on a 5-year deal from Italian side Napoli. Part of the side that made an incredible run in the Champions League as Matisse Tell with a chance to make it 6, but so far has not had the beating of Moritz Weiss. But to go back to Min-jae Kim, he has arrived in Munich. He is in Tegernsee. He's taking in this match as well. He'll be wearing the number 3 kit. It was a deal ultimately that was wrapped up a while ago. The release clause has long been triggered, but the paperwork just needed to get over the line. For now, even one of the paciest players out on the pitch, Alphonso Davies, can't keep that one in play down by the byline. Just trying to have a think about some of the Bayern players that have worn the number 3 kit over the years. I think Lizarazu, the French left-back, is someone that certainly made that number his own. Just having a look through some of the players that... Big one, the standout, Xabi Alonso. Lucio also, the famous Brazilian centre-back. And if you go back a little bit further, a certain Franz Beckenbauer once wore the number 3 kit in the 1966-67 season. It's fair to say, Min-jae Kim joining a very talented group of centre-backs here in the Bayern ranks. Matthijs de Ligt voted as the player of the season by the club's fans at the end of the previous campaign. The man signed last summer, made a huge impact. Right now, the impact of the offside flag being felt by the German record title holders, who raced out to this 5-0 lead, but have taken their foot off the pedal a little bit. This game being played in the evening, but the fact is the temperatures still in the high 20s, down in the picturesque tip of the Tegernsee in southern Bavaria. Ball well won by Laimer, continues his run forward. Konrad Laimer, first goal for Bayern. And Konrad Laimer gives Bayern fans a taste of what's to come this season. The ability to win the ball in midfield, the ability to go box to box, and then the ability to finish and convert chances as well. And what a cool finish that was over Mario Weiss too. What a way to open your account if you're Konrad Laimer. And after a slight lull in the goal scoring, we're back up and running. Bayern now with goal number 6. Courtesy of one of their summer signings. Laimer, who has talked about the fact that he's comfortable anywhere in midfield. When asked about the level of competition at Bayern with the likes of Kimmich, Goretzka, and let's be honest, the list goes on in terms of central midfielders that are currently in the Bayern ranks. Gravenberch, Sabitzer, Rafael Guerreiro can play there, having joined from Borussia Dortmund on a free transfer. Jamal Musiala, of course, on occasion dropped into that holding midfield position alongside Kimmich. That pass doesn't come to Musiala, but it's given to Gnabry, and he sends it wide. Almost a gift there from Franz Pietzko. Risky touch inside his own area. Serge Gnabry normally makes you pay in those types of situations. Jamal Musiala finding Lima, now on to Mazraoui. Sane just drifting away from his marker momentarily. Nice little 1-2 with Gnabry. Silky play from Bayern, and it almost came to Davies. Thumbs up for the pass. In the end, a touch wayward from Leroy Sané. Be interesting to hear the thoughts of Thomas Tuchel after a game like this. What does he see and get out of it as a head coach? As Tell strikes and scores. Well, he's been frustrated in the opening 21 minutes, but now Mathys Tel gets his name on the score sheet as Bayern make it 7. "18 years old and a big future ahead of him. 6 goals in his first season with Bayern. That set a good bar. Something tells me he'll be wanting to exceed that output in the current campaign. So 7 goals so far for Bayern. 2 for Musiala, 2 for Gnabry, 1 for Davies, 1 for Lima. And now the latest goal scorer, Mathys Tel. A reminder that Bayern scored 23 goals the last time they faced Rottach-Egern. The aim for the home side is to keep it under 20 today. They've also set themselves the lofty target of at least scoring once. So far, we've only really seen them in the Bayern final third once or twice. Meanwhile, most of this game has been played in their own final third. Bayern being met by a sea of blue shirts, but they are finding space in between the lines and down the channels that they are exploiting so far. But in many cases, this is a chance for this Bayern side to find their shooting boots, brush off those summer cobwebs. And how important will it be? I guess that's the question facing many a side, but how important will it be that these players have had a full summer to really recharge the batteries? No European Championships or Winter World Cups to deal with this season. Just a nice, simple 34 matchday Bundesliga campaign. Hopefully a deep run in the DFB Pokal. A competition Bayern haven't won in 3 seasons now. Of course, they wouldn't say no to another deep run in the Champions League as well. A competition they've been knocked out in the quarterfinals 3 seasons running. Chance here for an 8th, but headed over by Dayot Upamecano. Got up well there, the Frenchman. Player who had a very difficult season, really, in terms of how topsy-turvy it was, but I hold the thought because Tel with a chance to bag his brace and makes no mistake. It is 8-0 now to Bayern München. We are nearing double figures. And Mathys Tel with back-to-back goals now to join Jamal Musiala and Serge Gnabry with a brace. It's fair to say Bayern are making this look easy. And let's be honest, that is what will have been expected of them. Nothing but a routine win here against a team that finished 6th in the 9th tier of German football last season. We're not quite at a Sunday League level, but we're not far off it, if we're being honest. But this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, perhaps, for many of these Rottach-Egern players. A chance to go up against the men who lift the Bundesliga silverware more often than not come the end of a campaign. 11 times in a row now. Despite the turbulence of last season, they still managed to edge out Borussia Dortmund on goal difference after Dortmund bottled it. Header just a little ahead of Tell. Sane first the loose ball, now with Lima. Mazraoui strikes, and it's a good strike as well. Might be one of the few goals we see from outside the box today. Bayern have been very diligent in their desire to break down this Rottach-Egern side, but Mazraoui, he saw the opportunity to shoot, and he thought, why not? Picking his spot. It's 9-0 to Bayern now. Nine goals before the half-hour mark. They were 11-0 up last time these two sides met back in 2019 at half-time. Right now, it looks like they might be set to outscore themselves in the first half this time around. Another chance brewing here for Bayern. Cheeky back heel for the hat-trick now! Matthias Tell grabs his third and sends Bayern into double digits. Bayern very much ticking all the boxes. It's a tough pill for the humble home side to swallow. But the fans in attendance are enjoying themselves. They are enjoying the show that Bayern are putting on here. And Matthias Tell, after being frustrated in the opening 21 minutes, now has scored 3 goals in quick succession. Not quite what they would call a Lupenreiner hat-trick here in Germany. Simply a very fancy name for a very specific type of hat-trick for now, though. I hold the thought because that was a poor clearance from Sven Ulreich, giving the ball away to Pietzko. Chance for Rottach-Egern to spend a bit of time in the Bayern half. Marinus Treitenhahn gave chase there for the 1-2. I think he was accepting of the fact that he wasn't really going to get close to that one, and takes a handshake from Noussair Mazraoui on his way back. The light jog. The fact is, Bayern don't look like they're willing to go down a gear before half-time. Kimmich is going to strike him while it's straight at Weiss. And his body behind the ball. 2 hands on it as well. It's squirmed out of his grasp, but enough to turn it off target. He's made some good saves, it has to be said. Mario Weiss. Were it not for him, we'd be pushing 15 goals already for Bayern at a clip of a goal every 2 minutes. Corner comes in. Oh, second attempt is there. And it is Dyer Upamecano who gets in on the goal-scoring act. Sent an effort wide just a few moments ago. This time turned it on target with the help of the inside of the post. Firm header from the Frenchman. He's only ever scored 2 goals in his Bayern career in 81 previous appearances. Fortunately, the goal he scored last season came in a 2-1 loss to Freiburg in the DFB Pokal quarter-finals. A game that will be remembered for the late drama. Jamal Musiala conceding a late penalty for handball. Lucas Höhler scoring from the spot. As nice ball forward there from the captain. Picked out by Pavard, but the offside flag was up anyway to stop the home side in their tracks. That defeat to Freiburg, one of the results that will have rankled with the Bayern bosses and Thomas Tuchel last season. Because when he took over from Julian Nagelsmann as head coach, just take a moment to appreciate that first touch from Leroy Sané. That was something special. Ball just dead on his foot at the first point of contact. Oh, to be able to have the control of a football like that, eh? It would be nice. So now Bayern looking for goal number 12. Musiala couldn't quite squeeze it through the gap. Tries to win it back. Long ball forward for Tobias Schlichner. He gets sent over the hoardings. No ill feelings being shared there between the players, and why would there be? Well, Thomas Tuchel was talking to the press on the weekend as well and had some interesting things to say about certain situations, but when it came to his squad planning, he did admit that the squad now will most likely not be the squad on September 1st. He also pointed to the fact that him and his team haven't quite finished coming up with their ideas for next season, as Musiala finding Gnabry, teed up for Matthijs Tel. It's goal number 4 for Matthijs Tel. It's goal number 12 for Bayern. And they have now outdone their first half efforts from that game in 2019. They scored 11 in the first half on that occasion. They've got 12 today. Wonderful composed play from the record title holders. Using the basics to break down Rottach-Egern. And tonight, they are very much doing the job that has been expected of them today. Could there be goal number 13 now? And oh dear me. Well, Rottach-Egern are a 9th tier side, but they're defending, certainly not covering themselves in glory. They are being picked apart by this Bayern team. And if they set the bar with the 23-0 win in 2019, well, something tells me they might be about to beat that scoreline. Sané had all the time to pick his spot there. Matthijs Tel turns provider. And goal number 13, certainly not unlucky for Bayern. Lima advancing the ball. Closed down and couldn't quite thread the needle there. Serge Gnabry, one of the willing runners to work off the shoulder of the last man. Such a key part of breaking down a deep-lying side. Gnabry now finding Sané again. Goes for the square ball, and it's now a hat-trick for Jamal Musiala as well. Bayern are running rampant against Rottach-Egern. They are giving the lower league side absolutely no chance whatsoever. But after goals in the 3rd and 13th minute, Jamal Musiala adds a 3rd here in the 37th. And right now, it's got to be said, Bayern, they're not going to be short or too far short of scoring 23 goals in this first half. And that's what they scored in 90 minutes against Rottach-Egern back in 2019. I don't mean to keep referencing that game, but I think it's fair to say we knew there was going to be a fair bit of goal scoring today. I'm not sure we quite expected it to be this free-flowing. Davies getting a bit of a knock there. Looking at this back four as well of Davies, Mazraoui, Upamecano and Pavard, certainly an option for Thomas Tuchel next season. And the fact is Matthijs de Ligt and Min-Jae Kim will certainly be battling out for one of those two centre-back positions. Lucas Hernandez has left the club this summer to join Paris Saint-Germain. Player that, when he was fit, he produced some spellbinding performances at the back and was a real emotional leader. The problem was he wasn't fit often enough, and especially not down the vital final stretches the last couple of seasons, where his quality certainly would have benefited this Bayern side, you think. Nevertheless, they got good money out of that deal to Paris Saint-Germain and have invested it well in Min-Jae Kim, who won the Serie A with Napoli last season. A historic moment for a club that were made famous by a certain Diego Maradona. In fact, Kim's story is quite an interesting one as well, because he didn't move to Europe until the age of 24. Initially joined Fenerbahce and spent last season with Napoli, and now at Bayern. Quite the progression in a short space of time for the South Korean centre-back. He has talked about it being, of course, a dream to join a club like Bayern. The only bit of bad news to come out of the pre-season training camp so far for Bayern is that Thomas Müller has left due to injury. He's gone back to Munich. Neat bit of defending at the back post there to put that ball behind for a corner. Marinus Treitenhahn there, maybe feeling the after effects of his efforts. Corner comes in and headed clear. Clearance not really completed by the home side, and now Jamal Musiala. Oh, the dancing feet to find Matthijs Tel, and he makes it goal number 15 for Bayern. He's got a third of them with 5 to his name.
Ende 15:0 für den FC Bayern München. Und der Torschütze, den kennt ihr schon. Das ist schon der
But Bayern are really flexing their goal-scoring muscles down in Tegernsee. And Mathys Tel maybe just sending an early message here in pre-season that he might be one to watch. And then he might just be ready to take that next important step in his development after a strong debut season for the teenager. And here he is winning the ball back. He's not satisfied with 5 goals. He does have support. And he finds it in Jamal Musiala. Well, it's hard to catch your breath here. But Mathys Tel has 5. Jamal Musiala has 4. Bayern have very much put Rottach-Egern to the sword here. And Thomas Tuchel will be looking to half-time to make several changes, no doubt. But make no mistake, games as easy as this don't come around too often for a team like Bayern. But when they do come around, they have to show the level of seriousness, the level of desire to win, as if it were a title-deciding Bundesliga match. And that is how they're playing here, and that is what is expected of them. It'll have been the message from Thomas Tuchel, the head coach, beforehand. Because the fact is, they are really staking a claim here, because Thomas Tuchel, yes, he came in at the end of last season. Yes, he's familiar with some of these players. But you do get the feeling, the way Thomas Tuchel is talking, that there's a little bit of a blank slate type feel with this Bayern side, and it really is a case of all of these players have to prove themselves again. Show him exactly why they should be in his first team plans. Davies finding Musiala. He's on for a 5th, but he goes to find Gnabry instead, opting to be unselfish. And Serge Gnabry, the man who celebrated his 28th birthday just a few days ago, the man sporting a new hairdo as well. Well, that may all be new, but his goal-scoring form is nothing new. He joins Mathys Tel and Musiala by getting a hat-trick to his name. And right now, at 17-0, Rottach-Egern will just be wanting the half-time whistle to come, preferably without them conceding again. Super Bayern, the chants from the crowd in attendance. And, well, they are certainly seeing a superb performance from Bayern. Konrad Laimer looking to split the lines, and he's done so well to find Musiala. Round the keeper for his 5th. And there is still time for an 18th goal of this first half from Bayern München. Musiala knows that the offside call was tight, but the flag stayed down. He can raise an eyebrow about it or two. Nevertheless, right now, him and Mathys Tel are having a competition as to who can score more goals this afternoon, both with 5 goals to their name now. Even the stadium announcers having a bit of fun with it now as well. But make no mistake, this Bayern side, they mean business. Thomas Tuchel wants to see a serious performance from his team, and so far, it's fair to say that they are producing that serious performance. They want another before half-time. Intricate work, but a little too intricate in the end there from Joshua Kimmich. And mercifully, That will be the end of the first half action for Rottach-Egern, who have been absolutely put to the sword by the German record title holders Bayern München. It is the visitors from Munich, Thomas Tuchel's side, who have an incredible 18-0 lead at the break. The last time these two sides met in 2019, Bayern scored 23 goals unanswered. Something tells me they might be about to outdo themselves on that front here today. It is all smiles. This is the first pre-season friendly of the 2023-24 campaign. Rottach-Egern enjoying a nice day in the sun against a star-studded Bayern side, but certainly a tough first half, as they've conceded 18 times, but already a few shirt swaps being done before the break. Thomas Tuchel will be delighted with his side's performance so far. They are ticking all the boxes. They're doing what's expected of them. They are proving ruthless in front of goal. They are slicing this Rottach-Egern side apart with ease. But they are very much working on those automatisms, as they like to call them here in Germany. And the fact is, it's a family-friendly feel to the whole event here. Very cheap ticket prices, all the proceeds going to the 9th tier club, Rottach-Egern. Chance for them to boost their coffers as we now have a look at the half-time highlights. And, well, let's be honest, 18 goals scored. I'm not even sure we'll be able to show you all 18 goals. Jamal Musiala, he got the ball rolling with one of his 5 so far this afternoon. Matthijs Tel also with 5 goals to his name. But Bayern have been ruthless in front of goal and in the way they have dispatched of this Rottach-Egern side. There will be plenty of changes made at half-time, no doubt. And I guess the question is, how many more goals can Bayern score on this glorious afternoon in the south of Bavaria? Join us shortly for the second half.
Alter, du bist eine Maschine, Junge. Hä?
Ja, also 300 Watt, da kommt man durchaus ins Schwitzen, das ist eine andere Belastung. Also jetzt das Läuferische, vor allem die Beine, die sagen irgendwann dann, Oberschenkel, sagen irgendwann dann Hallo. Also hat Spaß gemacht, ist das falsche Wort, aber war sehr angenehm.
Oh, danke schön.
Ja. Man muss auch immer gut aussehen, dass man das guckt. Da ist die Kamera. Da kann man die Kamera.
dedication. Aber Urlaub ist vorbei.
Servus. This is Korean hat. Servus.
Perfekt.
That's a word.
Big pleasure to have you with us. As you see, some tests. I think everything will be fine. Okay?
So he is the cardiologist and he is a specialist for the Bayern Munich team physician. She will do.
Danke, wie geht's? Just this one.
Jetzt gut.
Alles gut.
Alles gut.
Super.
Super.
Sehr gut.
Super.
Again, keep it up. I think we continue with the tests now. With the treadmill.
Yeah.
This is for you.
Super. Yeah, super.
And this is, he's called Bernie. Okay? And here's some other stuff, like also some other.
Yeah.
And here are we call it Stutzen. You have to learn that. Stutzen.
Stutzen.
Yes!
Stutzen. Stutzen.
And here's some other stuff inside. And this is a card they wrote you. And I translated to.
Super. Really good. Thanks.
Huh?
Danke.
Yeah, good.
Servus Bayern-Fans. Hier ist Kim Min-jae.
Hello and welcome back, one and all, to the wonderful conditions in the south of Bavaria, on the southern tip of the Tegernsee, here at the Stadion and Birkenmoos, where the German record title holders, the reigning and record Bundesliga champions Bayern München, are taking on 9th tier Rottach-Egern, and it's fair to say this game is very much already done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen. The first pre-season friendly of the season for Bayern, and they are 18-0 up against the team from the 9th tier of German football. This is a team, Rottach-Egern, who play teams that are in the local Zugspitze area. Zugspitze, of course, the tallest mountain in Germany, and the wonderful Alps. This is a very rural side right now, getting a rare opportunity to rub shoulders with the big dogs, and I mean the biggest dogs in German football, Bayern München, a side that last season won the Bundesliga title for an 11th straight campaign, despite a fair bit of turbulence. But that turbulence is something they are hoping will not repeat itself in the coming campaign. The aim is for smoother sailing in what will be Thomas Tuchel's first full season in charge of the club after taking over from Julian Nagelsmann in the business end of the previous campaign. As you can see, fair few changes going to be made by Bayern, given the fact that they are in this dominant position. It's what we in Germany here would call a Schützenfest, a goal fest. Bayern showing absolutely no mercy. There were 5 goals from Jamal Musiala, 5 goals from Matisse Tell. He also chipped in with a few assists here and there as well. Serge Gnabry getting a hat-trick. The other goals coming courtesy of Alphonso Davies. Konrad Laimer, the new man, enjoying a first outing in a Bayern kit this afternoon. Nusser Mazraoui, Dai Upamecano, Leroy Sané also getting on the score sheet. And it has given these fans here in attendance something to cheer about. No one came here expecting Rottach-Egern to really spring a surprise. But as mentioned in the first half, they've set themselves the target of at least scoring once. They wanted to keep Bayern to 20 goals or less today after conceding 23 times the last time these two teams met in 2019. Something tells me they might struggle to do that, given the fact that Bayern have already scored 18. You can see some of the players that are set to come on. Ryan Gravenberch, Leon Goretzka, Sadio Mane, Marcel Sabitzer, Kingsley Coman. There is going to be a new look, feel to this Bayern team in the second half, which is to be expected in these situations. Rafael Guerreiro, Bouna Sarr looks like they're going to be coming on as well. So too is the young 19-year-old winger, Yusuf Kabadai, player that still yet to make his breakthrough into the Bayern senior squad, but given a chance here by Thomas Tuchel just to show what he's capable of and maybe stake a claim to be involved with the senior team next season. Admittedly, when you play on the wing, it's not an easy or enviable position to compete in with the Bayern squad. You're already coming up against the likes of Musiala, Sané, Gnabry, Coman, Sadio Mane. But then again, there are a couple of positions in this Bayern squad where question marks do still linger. One of them is the goalkeeping situation. Johannes Schenk there, the young 20-year-old, is going to feature in the second half. But the question marks surrounding the number 1 position for Bayern really only come because Manuel Neuer, Thomas Tuchel admitted it would be a bit ambitious for him to be involved in the Super Cup on August 12th against the DFB Pokal winners RB Leipzig, or on match day 1 of the Bundesliga season against Werder Bremen. The idea with Manuel Neuer is to gradually integrate him back into the first team in the month of August. Someone will have to plug the gap. In the meantime, the question is, will it be Sven Ulreich? Will it be Johannes Schenk? But after Sven Ulreich gets a clean sheet, Johannes Schenk will be expected and or hoping to do the same. Now, I've got to say as well, that's a number 22 in the middle there for Rottach-Egern. The reason they're showing him back of your screen there That is Marcus Delenga. And you might be looking at Marcus Delenga going, God, he looks a little old to be on the pitch. And you would be right, ladies and gentlemen. He is 53 years old, but he has been given 5 minutes here by the home side to compete against Bayern München because he is someone that has been involved with the club for many a decade now. And as a thank you for his loyalty, as a thank you for his service, he's now getting the chance to run out against the German record title holders, Bayern München. I mean, what a moment for the 53-year-old. And you've got to admit, if you were in his shoes, you'd love this opportunity as well. And it is the 53-year-old Marcus Delenga who gets us kicked off for the second half. It would be a fairy tale moment for him to be involved in a highlight of any kind. The man who has given so much to this 9th tier club, Rottach-Egern. They are 18-0 down after the first half against the reigning and record title holders Bayern München. But a moment of sentimentality as the 53-year-old is given a run out here for his home club. The fact is, Bayern making a whole host of changes at half-time. Gravenberch looking for the run of Sadio Mane, and, well, he spotted the run. Just didn't quite get the pass timed to perfection on that occasion. Just trying to work out as well as whether it's 11 changes for Bayern at half-time. I have to admit, I am struggling to pick out a player that started the game that's still out on the pitch. Even the centre-backs have gone in. Bouna Sarr playing at centre-back alongside Josip Stanisic. Rafael Guerreiro playing here at left-back. That's Kabadai playing at right-back, seemingly, as he finds Sadio Mane onto Marcel Sabitzer and behind for a corner. So it does look like it's a new look 11 for this Bayern team. You can see there Rafael Guerreiro quickly made tracks to the corner flag, looking to take the corner. He will be someone that I'm sure will have a share of the set-piece duties. Wonderful left foot, and here it is to deliver. Dink to Coman, now back to Kabadai, and he has a shot blocked by Delenga. There is a moment for the 53-year-old involved in the action. Ball kept in play well. Bouna Sarr, player getting a rare run out for this Bayern team. Lovely play to split the lines, Choupo-Moting in behind. Had to stretch, and in the end, couldn't quite get enough on the ball to keep it in play and keep himself on the feet at the same time. But those little cheeky diagonal runs, that's what Bayern and their performance today so far have been all about. And they've worked to devastating effect at times as well. The main beneficiaries in the first half were Matthijs Tel, Jamal Musiala and Serge Gnabry. Of course, I mentioned in the first half that Thomas Tuchel admitted that he doesn't think this squad will be the one that he is working with come the start of the season, or even going a little bit further to September 1st. I think it's fair to say there might be some departures and there might be some new arrivals as well. Of course, the big news today, Min-Jae Kim joining the club. Talking about his excitement to move to Munich. He'll be taking in this performance as Bayern right now just trying to work it to a different angle from the corner. Mane with a burst of pace, and, well, Weiss let it spill, and Sabitzer said thank you very much. First goal of the second half. Number 19 for Bayern, and it's Marcel Sabitzer who comes off the bench and gets in on the action. But that is a rare moment where Mario Weiss didn't cover himself in glory. He's made some good saves He's kept this scoreline as respectable as possible. The Rottach-Egern goalkeeper, on that occasion, he let it slip, and Sabitzer pounced on the opportunity.
Nicht wieder, wie es steht. Wir sind bei 19:0 für den FC Bayern München.
And as mentioned, Rottach-Egern did set themselves the target of not conceding more than 20 goals today. Tough ask now at 19-0 down with 50 minutes played as Mane again gets in behind. This time his cross doesn't pick out a teammate. No one there ready to pounce on the counter for the home side as Kabadai chases back to be first to the loose ball. 19 years old, you do just wonder whether he can stake a claim. Here he is on the overlap, Kabadai. Oh, lovely cross, and, oh, the shot just wide. You're just waiting for the net to ripple once again there. Given how common a sight it has been so far this evening. The sun is now starting to set, and as a result, a few hands on the foreheads just to keep the sun out of the eyes. Look at there at the new Derby-style ball that we'll be using next season. Not a bad look to it. Interesting colour scheme, though, admittedly. For now, little 1-2 with Sabitzer and Sadio Mane. Man who gets so much love and support from the Senegalese fan base. Even if the jury is maybe still out on him with Bayern, but it's so hard given the fact that his first season was so hard hit by injury as Kabadai stings the palms of Mario Weiss. Were it not for Mario Weiss, I mean, it has to be said, this could be pushing 30-0 already for Bayern München. He's made some good saves and made some important saves, made one world-class save in the first half, an incredible reactionary save to keep the ball out after a deflection. But this is ultimately the time of year where it's all about team building, team bonding. Chance for Sabitzer, but he had his back to goal. Goretzka wasn't going to shoot from outside the area. We did see one goal, thanks to Mazraoui, scored from outside the box, but I think that might be one of few and far between. Something tells me Thomas Tuchel will be expecting his team not to shoot from range, but to break this Rottach-Egern side down, because that really is it. It's about muscle memory. It's about brain memory. You know, they want to get into those rhythms ahead of next season. In Germany, they call it automatism. So automatisms, basically where players do things instinctually without having to think too much. And for Bayern, what they want to be instinctual is those little movements, the intricate passing, the little neat flicks around the corner, the reverse passes that are needed to break down teams that want to sit deep against them. It's been a problem for them at times last season where they did end up getting frustrated and were unable to work the channels. But here again is Sabitzer working those channels. This time, Weiss does well. I think it's fair to say Mario Weiss having one of the busiest days between the sticks he's had in a long time. There is the 53-year-old Marcus de Lenga, born in February of 1970. Chance for Kingsley Coman to turn, feeding Rafael Guerreiro. Takes his man on one-on-one. Well recovered in the end there by Rottach-Egern. Josip Stanisic, another of those versatile players that Thomas Tuchel is trying to work out how to get the best out of. Sadio Mane taking it to the byline. Neat little turn, neat little cross, but doesn't find a teammate. Grafenberg. Talked about wanting more minutes with Bayern in his debut season. Question still is whether he'll get more minutes in his second campaign with the club. Lovely ball from Coman to find Cavadai. Bayern really are working in tight spaces as Sadio Mane then chances his arm and ruffles the roof of a Paulana tent there. Not enough to cause Mario Weiss any problems, though. You got to think for Thomas Tuchel, this chance to have a full pre-season with this team is going to be invaluable. They've been doing team building sessions in Tegernsee. They've had a dip in the lake as well. It's fair to say you've got to be brave to jump in the Tegernsee, but in temperatures like we are having currently in Bavaria, a nice cold dip would certainly not go amiss. And now 10 minutes of the second half played. 1 goal scored by Marcel Sabitzer so far, and Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting looks like he might be coming off here, and he is, to be replaced by Paul Vanna. And well, that is a cause for concern for Bayern, a man who had such a wonderful season with Bayern last season, really stepping up in the absence after the departure of Robert Lewandowski. Unfortunately, his body didn't quite keep up with him towards the end of the season. Struggled with back and knee injuries, and now 10 minutes into his first appearance of pre-season, he's come off to be replaced by Paul Vanna. Just wonder whether you go back to that one-on-one chance he had against Mario Weiss, and he stretched for the ball, didn't he? Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting as all the woodwork is rattled. Rafael Guerreiro denied his first goal as a Bayern player. Ghosting in at the back post, unmarked. Goretzka round the corner for Sadio Mane and into the side netting. Well, they are having to be patient in the search for goal number 20 here, Bayern München. In some ways, this is very much a repetitive training routine for Bayern. Get the ball in the opponent's half, let them sit deep, then work your intricate passes, work the channels. Can you move the ball effectively in tight spaces? Can you move yourself effectively in tight spaces as well? And right now you can see a lot of those players, when they're picking up possession, they really are trying to bear that all in mind. Ryan Gravenberch, a player that has described himself as a contortionist, given his ability to maneuver in tight spaces. Coman chances his arm, but slicing well wide of the target on that occasion. Rafael Guerreiro, a man who is familiar to Thomas Tuchel, having worked with him at Borussia Dortmund as well during his time at Bayern's arch-rivals. And Guerreiro's corner, well taken. Mane was up there, like a salmon, trying to meet it. 1-2 Goretzka. Guerreiro doesn't quite get pulled off. Goretzka was at a cheeky nutmeg in the mix. Bayern still going through the motions here as we approach the hour mark in Tegernsee. Oh, that's nice, neat work. Sadio Mane, another chance. But still, goal number 20 is not forthcoming. Again, forced to settle for the corner as they try and break in behind. Good defensive work there from Alexander Wabnitz. And I think that's it for the 53-year-old Marcus Delenga. He's had his moment in the sun. 15 minutes at the start of this second half for a man who has been such a loyal servant to the club. A wonderful moment for the 53-year-old. One that we can all dream of at that age. But now a very smiley, young, fresh face is on to replace Marcus Delenga. Would have been lovely. All Rottach-Egern needed was one penalty maybe at the other end, and he would have been first choice to take it, no doubt, as Kingsley Coman puts another effort off target. Unfortunately, football wasn't going to be that romantic for us today. Bayern weren't going to be that sentimental about it all. Because this is a Bayern side that I think are going to be very keen from very early on this season to prove that they mean business. They want to put last season behind them. Yes, it did produce another Bundesliga title, but many felt there was more on offer. Many felt Bayern had a team that should have won more than one title. Thomas Tuchel himself did say that getting knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League and the DFB Pokal and winning the Bundesliga title should not be considered a crisis. Bayern standards are not those of other clubs, though. And Thomas Tuchel will be well aware of that. He'll be learning that on a daily basis. But you got to think, Tuchel is undoubtedly an incredibly talented head coach. When someone like Gianluigi Buffon, the Italian legendary goalkeeper, is talking about Tuchel being an extremely intelligent head coach, someone who is authentic and positive, and says that his attacking ideas are extraordinary. I mean, those are words of incredibly high praise from someone like Buffon. And the fact is, Tuchel, very talented head coach, has a very talented squad at his disposal. And while they may not have quite hit the heights and met their expectations last season, there will be a belief that they can come back better and stronger forward in the current campaign. And the signings of Guerrero and Lima addressing two areas of improvement needed. Here is Guerrero finding Coman. He goes for the dinked one now, and well, he sent one well wide, one over from short range, and another now over, and he just can't find his shooting boots, Kingsley Coman. He only scored 9 goals in all competitions in 35 appearances last season. But remarkably, he is a player who has won the league title in every season of his professional career, whether that be with Paris Saint-Germain, whether that be with Juventus, or now with Bayern. It is a remarkable statistic, a remarkable run for Kingsley Coman. And let's be honest, given the fact that he's still on the books at Bayern, his odds of continuing that run are quite good, you have to say. Cross comes in, turned away. Here's Bounassar. Got to think one of the players that's likely on the fringes of this Bayern squad. Guerrero. Lots of space to work with. Knocks it around the corner for Mane. It's another tap in for Marcel Sabitzer as he bags his brace. The only man to score in this second half so far. But Bayern finally have goal number 20 just past the hour mark. They've had to be patient, but Marcel Sabitzer, thanks to good work from Sadio Mane, has delivered. Wonderful play from Sadio Mane. A simple finish from Marcel Sabitzer. The man who spent the second half of last season on loan with Man United, where he scored 3 goals in 18 appearances. But the question is, given the fact that he was on the outs a little bit under Julian Nagelsmann, that's not to say he will still be on the outs with Thomas Tuchel. But again, I point to that central midfield position for Bayern as being hugely problematic right now, but in the best possible way, because they just have too much talent there. And ultimately, there is absolutely no way they're going to be able to keep all those players happy. I'll go through the list in a second as we see, almost goal number 21. Mane looking to go from provider to goal scorer. Just couldn't get the angles right after the cross from Paul Vanna. A player that never really quite picked up where he left off after that devastating leg injury that ruled him out of the World Cup, Sadio Mane. And you've got to think, personally, emotionally, mentally, that would have been a huge blow for a player that was being hailed as the man to shoulder the responsibility of maybe achieving something historic with Senegal, as we now have a hat-trick for Marcel Sabitzer. Well, we had 3 players score 3 times or more in the first half. Jamal Musiala, Serge Gnabry and Matisse Tel. Now, 3 goals unanswered in the second half from Marcel Sabitzer, with probably a combined distance of about 10 yards. But he won't care one bit. He's only ever scored 2 goals in 54 competitive appearances for Bayern. Marcel Sabitzer, the interesting thing about both of those goals is they both came against Freiburg. So in the space of 20 second half minutes here, he's scored more goals against Rottach-Egern than he scored in 54 previous appearances for Bayern. But then again, his remit really when he first came into the squad was very different. He wasn't expected to be box to box. He wasn't expected to be a man chipping in with goals, even though his time at Leipzig proved he had that about his game. At 29 years old, peak of his powers, Marcel Sabitzer, he'll be asking himself whether Bayern is the right place for him, because let's be honest, it's a great team to be with, but he wants to be playing football. And if Bayern aren't going to be able to guarantee him that in amongst the competitive nature of that central midfield position, I will go through the list quickly. Kimmich, Goretzka, Leimer, Gravenberch, Sabitzer. And then you can include Musiala, Guerrero, or even Paul Vanna in the mix as well. A plethora of options. Here is Goretzka. Couldn't find the slide rule pass, but he's going to go for goal himself now as a fierce drive. Flashed over. Goretzka, who did score a hat-trick when Bayern met Rottach-Egern back in 2019. All of those goals coming in the second half as well, given the fact he was a half-time substitute, just like he was today. You've got to think he's a player who may have lost a little bit of confidence last season. When we talk about Bayern players not quite hitting the heights that we know they're capable of, Leon Goretzka will probably be the first to admit that he didn't quite meet his own expectations or those of the Bayern bosses either. And now he's got added competition to stoke the flames a little bit as Guerrero is in behind here. Square ball, no takers. Hint of a handball there on the edge of the area by Wabnitz, but play goes on by trying to keep the chance alive. Mario Sabino up against Bounassar, went for the little back-heeled flick. Couldn't quite pull it off. I'm hearing as well from sideline reporters that the reason that Choupo-Moting came off is given the fact he picked up a bit of a knee injury in a clash with the Rottach-Egern goalkeeper Mario Weiss, and that he is receiving treatment in the dressing room as we speak. And that is, let's be honest, one of the first priorities here for Bayern. The scoreline is relatively irrelevant. They probably would have even happily lost here if they could get everyone through injury-free. For now, here's Kabadai. Cut back looking for Goretzka. Goretzka couldn't quite make the most of it. Loose ball, though, to Bunassar. There was talk about the young 17-year-old Arihon Ibrahimovic joining the squad after Muller went home injured. There's Palvada trying to work it in tight spaces and has to settle for the corner. However, it's been confirmed that Ibrahimovic will not be called up to the senior squad to replace Muller. Meanwhile, one of the youngsters that did travel with Bayern down to Tegernsee, the young centre-back Tarek Buchmann, unfortunately joining Muller in picking up an injury and has travelled home as a precautionary measure. Oh, Marcel Sabitzer. Well, he saw Jamal Musiala and Matisse Tell score 5 apiece in the first half, and he fancies getting in on the act as well. He is the only Bayern player to score in the second half. It was 18-0 at half-time, but he scored 4, and now it's 22-0 to the German record title holders, and maybe just a couple moments here to make Thomas Tuchel sit up and take notice of the Austrian international. 71 appearances for the Austrian national team. And I'll admit as well, Marcel Sabitzer scored one of the best goals I have ever seen live in a stadium in my life. And that admittedly came in a Champions League match between Leipzig and Zenit St. Petersburg. Just one of the sweetest volleys you will ever see struck. And I had the wonderful pleasure of being in a good position in the stadium to see the flight of the ball perfectly as it found the top corner. If you have never seen that goal, go look it up. You won't regret it. Oh, he's got a 5th. He has indeed done it. Goal number 23 for Bayern. But it's goal number 5 for Marcel Sabitzer. Each and every one of them has been scored from inside the 6-yard box. A true poacher's effort from the Austrian, who has come off the bench and picked up where the goal scorers from the first half left off. Remarkable stuff from Sabitzer, remarkable stuff from Bayern. And just like they did in 2019, they now lead 23-0. Fact is, though, there's still time for a few more goals. Another Rottach-Egern player that's almost gone over the hoardings here today. It's fair to say I don't think they're quite used to having Telekom, Adidas, Volkswagen, Audi advertisement around the pitch here at the Stadion Birkenmoos. This is the Birkenmoos 11, as they're called, the Birkenmoos 11. But right now, being put to the sword. Oh, dear me. A wry smile there on the face of Sadio Mane. He would have been expecting to, at the very least there, hit the target. But right now, in this second half, the only player capable of scoring in a Bayern shirt is Marcel Sabitzer. Goal number 24 now. And it's a first ever goal in a Bayern kit for Rafael Guerreiro. Certainly not a bad way to introduce yourself. He's been making those late runs to the back post ever since he came off the bench at half-time. And it took a deflection on its way through, but a fine finish in the end from the Portuguese international. Maybe taking the approach of, if you can't beat them, join them. Moving from Borussia Dortmund to Bayern. In fact, it's a fantastic signing for the German record title holders. And he gets his first goal.
Vielleicht macht der eine oder andere auch ein Foto, aber sobald jemand über die Bande drüber läuft, gehen die Spieler sofort.
So the stadium announcer there, just to do a quick translation so you know what's being talked about in the background, but basically saying and warning the fans in attendance not to leap the barriers at full time. I'll hold the thought because Paul Vanna fancies his chances of getting in on the act. Denied though by Mario Weiss, who even now with just over a quarter of an hour remaining at 24-0 down is doing his very level best to keep this as respectable as possible. Bayern though, they want to remain as ruthless as they have been all afternoon. But to finish the story, the stadium announcer saying that the Bayern players will be going round the pitch after the game to sign autographs and take photos with the fans in attendance. However, he warned that if anyone jumped the barriers at full time, that the players would not spend any time in the fans. So they're hoping to deter mini pitch invasion at the end of this. Might be difficult to stop some of those kids in the background, though. There's Paul Vanna with a lovely header. Excuse me, it's Goretzka with the header. Vanna with the follow-up effort. Bayern having to settle for a second corner here. Worked intricately, and Vanna is again going to have a shot. 3 in quick succession for Paul Vanna. Different results each time, at least on that occasion. He was able to pull a save out of Mario Weiss once again. There was a lot made as well in the first public training session of the season on Saturday. Thomas Tuchel at times was quite audible in some of the things he was shouting at his players, and he was not happy with some of the things he was seeing from Paul Vanna, it has to be said. Saying that he wasn't active enough, was a little bit slow off the mark, demanding more from the young 17-year-old. Josip Stanisic finding Paul Vanna. They're trying to get a Mexican wave started at the Stadion am Birkenmoos now. For now, Kabadai. Neat footwork, good turn of pace, got past his man, but cross-blocked. Lifted over the top for Guerrero. Lifted over Weiss, but over and wide of the target as well. Talking to the press just yesterday, Guerrero saying with his contract running out at Dortmund, he was looking for a club to match his ambition, and fair to say that Bayern can do that. Said he's often played against Bayern, but he rarely won. He said he thought he had only won twice previously, but said he was very happy to be back with his new club. Johannes Schenk channeling his inner Manuel Neuer there. Bunassar making sure that he didn't have to scramble back into position too urgently. Mane back to goal, finds Kingsley Coman now with Guerrero. Mane wants it back, and the angle just working against him and Bayern's new left back. Meanwhile, we've got an announcement from the stadium announcer that there's a dog in a car that needs to be released. Given the incredibly high temperatures, it's admittedly quite shocking that anyone has left a dog in a car here today, because we've been well over 30 degrees centigrade for most of the day, pushing 35 at times recently in Bavaria as well. So we reached the peak of the summer months. Of course, Bayern's training camp still got a couple more days to go down in Tegernsee. They leave on the 20th of July to go back to Munich on the 23rd of July. There'll be the team presentation at the Allianz Arena. Marcel Sabitzer. And Paul Vanna again denied twice by Mario Weiss. I gotta say, I mean, of course he's going to be one of the players in the spotlight more often than not for Rottach-Egern, the goalkeeper, but he is putting in a man of the match performance for the home side. Were it not for him, we would have easily cracked 30 goals already, maybe even 35. There is still time for a change here as the youngster Severin Birkmüller off the bench, the teenager. Bayern working the corner short. Mane constantly looking for the give and goes. Right idea, wrong execution, scrapping away there on the byline, but loses out in the end. So just under 10 minutes remaining here at the Stadion am Birkenmoos. I mentioned the fact that on the 23rd of July there will be a team presentation. There will be a friendly game as well between some of the Bayern and Dortmund stars from the 2013 Champions League final. But that is a day where the current squad will be presented, so they won't be in action. Then, of course, it's off to Asia on the Audi Summer Tour shortly after that team presentation. And while they are on the other side of the world, Bayern with games against the treble winners and European champions from last season, Manchester City. They face them in Japan on the 26th of July. 3 days later, they face Kawasaki Frontale, the Japanese side. And then they travel to Singapore, where they will face Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp. For now, chance for goal number 25 at Marcel Sabitzer for the first time in this second half. Missing his shooting boots there, and there's another effort from inside the 6-yard box. I really do feel he scored, 5 goals? Probably with a combined distance of about 15 yards, maybe. But there were 5 goals unanswered. 5 goals in the space of 8... Oh, excuse me. It was a bit longer than that, wasn't it? It wasn't 8 minutes, because the first goal came in the 49th minute shortly after half-time. The 5th came in the 72nd. So a good 23 minutes. Not quite the 4 goals in 4 minutes that Corentin Tolisso once scored against Rottach-Egern. Strong challenge there on Rafael Guerreiro by the youngster Severin Birkmüller, the man who just came off the bench. Risky moment for the teenager as well. Could have conceded a penalty, but got a round of applause from the home bench for his efforts. Bunasar clipping one over, a little too far. A little too much club on that pass from Bunasar. Paul Vanna at 17 years old. Questions as to whether maybe a loan deal might be more beneficial for him as opposed to staying on the books at Bayern, where he won't get a lot of game time, Paul Vanna. Mane with a chance and denied by Weiss. Tell you what, Sadio Mane has had a handful of very good chances since coming off the bench at half-time. That clinical touch, though, continues to elude him. Gravenberch, curls one. That's a beauty. Picked his spot to perfection. And for the first time today, Mario Weiss was really left statuesque on his goal line as the ball flew past him. We've got 25 goals now for Bayern. Ryan Gravenberch adding his name to a lengthy list of goal scorers. Ryan Gravenberch, one of the few Bayern players that was actually in international action during the summer break with the Dutch under-21 squad. Unfortunately for them, knocked out in the group stages of that competition that was eventually won by England. Germany, admittedly, their under-21s also knocked out in the group stages, disappointingly. Much like the senior national team, the under-21s also leaving a little bit to be desired. Many in Germany hoping that maybe the women's national team, who kick off their World Cup campaign down under in Australia and New Zealand in just a few days, hoping maybe they can restore some of the spirit amongst the national teams. For now, Sabitzer, oh, he wanted goal number 6. It would have made him the top goal scorer this afternoon. For now, he remains level on 5 with Jamal Musiala and Matisse Tell. Between those 3 players, they scored 15 goals of the 25 Bayern scored today. It's not bad for an afternoon's work. Many questions being asked as to what this Bayern side can achieve now that they can get a full pre-season under Thomas Tuchel. Always easier to judge a head coach when he doesn't come in halfway through a season, but ultimately has more time to work with his players and get his ideas across effectively. That really is the focus of this pre-season as Guerrero finds Kabadai. Loose first touch, lets him down. Weiss was quick to snap at the heels there. Kabadai keeping the ball in play, and, well, it's going to be a corner now to Bayern in the end. In fact, it's Thomas Tuchel, a head coach who has 100+ games with Mainz, Dortmund, Paris Saint-Germain and Chelsea. Coman thought about the first shot, brings it down and then drills it into the far corner. Kingsley Coman finally finds the mark with just under 5 minutes remaining. I think it's fair to say we are a long way past the Simpsons memes of stop, they're already dead. Rottach-Egern with very little fight back here. And Kingsley Coman happy to add his name to the score sheet too. "26 goals scored today, and yet still one of the biggest talking points surrounding this Bayern München side is the role of a striker. And the fact that last season, Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting did well in the lone striker role, but his fitness let him down towards the end of the campaign, and as a result, he wasn't there in the big moments when Bayern needed him. As a result, Bayern, I'll hold the thought, because Goretzka's going to strike. It's well blocked in the end. What a challenge that was. Get some respect from Leon Goretzka as well. Wry smile on the face of the man who is currently captaining the side. The challenge there made by Alexander Wabnitz. Some no-holds-barred defending there. But the fact is, lots of talk about the Bayern striker role. Thomas Tuchel has talked about the fact that the most dominant sides in Europe all have a dominant number 9. That's why Bayern are looking for one. Gravenberch. A little bit of twinkle toes there in the Rottach-Egern box, but just overran it in the end, the young Dutchman. And of course, lots being written in the German press about a certain England captain called Harry Kane being a viable solution and one that Bayern München really are pushing for. Tuchel wisely saying, "I will not comment on players that are not under contract with us," and ultimately we do the same here on the web in Bayern's live streaming services. However, what we can do is quote a certain Uli Hoeneß, who said that if Harry Kane keeps his word, then he will be joining Bayern. Something tells me Uli Hoeneß knows a little bit more about the situation than I do. It's a very bold statement to be made by the former club president. You can hear the stadium announcer talking in the background. Hold the thought, because Sadio Mane strikes. It's just not going to be his day, is it? Frustrated and thwarted to the last. But they're doing interviews with some of the Rottach-Egern players, and the question there to the player they're interviewing was, what's it like coming up and playing up against Bayern, the German record title holders? And he said it's a dream come true for all of them. For now, Sadio Mane trying to skip past two. Sadio Mane, he wants his goal, he gets his goal. Frustrated in this second half. But goal number 27 belongs to Sadio Mane. Using his pace and his skill with great aplomb. And it might have taken a deflection on its way through, leaving Mario Weiss with no chance at keeping that one out. Here's Ryan Gravenberch driving the ball forward. 90th minute we have hit, but Bayern wouldn't say no to another. Kingsley Coman, though, in this situation is not going to run the risk there, and the referee is merciful in blowing the whistle early here. 27-0 to the German record title holders Bayern München in their first pre-season friendly of the 2023-24 campaign. It's fair to say they put 9th tier Rottach-Egern to the sword. They were ruthless in dispatching of them. Plenty of names on the score sheet. The top goal scorers for the day. 5 goals to the name of Jamal Musiala, Mathis Tell and Marcel Sabitzer. But in the end, a dominant performance as we now go to Konrad Leimer on the sidelines for a sideline interview. So there are more important games than games like this, but how special was it for your first official performance for Bayern? I think it's fair to say it was very special. It was a very wonderful moment, one that I will keep in my memory for a long time as well. The fact is, it was a very relaxed game despite the intensity in the training camp. But a good result in the end. Of course, when you score your first goal in your first game, it's always nice. And that's the way things can continue as well. Fact is, after the summer months, things now really getting to the grind. Fact is, yes, things are now starting again, but I welcome it. We're going through a lot of content right now and a lot of ideas. The fact is, we're trying to bring certain parts of that out onto the pitch. And tomorrow and the day after, we've still got a few more training sessions to enjoy. Certainly looking forward to it. So what's the atmosphere like in the squad right now? It's very, very good. Everyone's really looking forward to the fact that we're starting again soon. We really want to prepare ourselves as best possible before the campaign gets underway. And the fact is, we want to improve. We're working on the things that we can train on. And the fact is, right now, it's a lot of fun. What's it like being a new player in the squad as you get to know your new teammates? The fact is, yeah, the new signings have to do a bit of singing. I've had to do a bit of singing as well. The fact is, I would like to think that I handled myself very well in that situation. Can he let us know what he sang? Something from his personal collection. So there are 2 more days of this training camp. And then the team presentation. You're looking forward to it all and the Tour of Asia. The fact is, I'm just enjoying the whole path right now and all the preparations being made. Every training session, every game, every friendly. We've got to use those as best we can to prepare ourselves as best possible. And we've got big targets this season. And we all know what we have to achieve. The competition for places in midfield is strong at Bayern. Do you have personal targets? There are always targets. And there are always personal targets and team targets as well. The fact is, my personal targets are just as big. I want to be playing as often as possible. But I want to get the most out of myself and out of every game possible. That's how things are meant to be in training as well, to give 100% at all times. And that's it. We want to continue improving as a team as well. When it comes to the pre-season preparations, you can't say too much. Really, it's all about every player focusing on themselves and making sure they are working on their areas of improvement. And then ultimately coming together to know what our plan is, what our targets are, and achieving them as a collective.
Vielen herzlichen Dank und viel Erfolg beim FC Bayern München. Conny Leimer. Danke dir. Zurück zum Jens, glaube ich.
So very nice there to hear from the new summer signing, Conny Leimer, as he is known. Not a bad first outing, getting on the score sheet here in the 27-0 win against Rottach-Egern, the 9th tier side. And the fact is, for Konrad Leimer and for Bayern, many will be hoping that this is a sign of things to come in the current campaign. They're not going to score 27 goals against many teams, if any team, this season. The fact is, though, this was a chance for Bayern to brush off those summer cobwebs, get up close and personal with some of the fans in the south of Bavaria, and flex their goal-scoring muscles, which they did to great effect today. James Thorogood, your match commentator. It's been our pleasure to bring you coverage of this outing, the first pre-season friendly of the 2023-24 campaign for the reigning and record title holders Bayern München. The final score is Bayern 27, Rottach-Egern 0. For now, this is a lovely chance for some of the fans that have turned out here. It was a very family-friendly atmosphere. The ticket price is incredibly reasonable. As an adult, it would have cost you €10 to see Bayern score 27 goals today down in the south of Bavaria. And they're a lovely moment as well. Fresh off the plane, Min Jae Kim, the new South Korean centre-back signed from Napoli, has joined up with the team in Tegernsee for the rest of this training camp. Wasn't in action today, but has seen his new club score 27 goals. And what a chance for these fans to get a first signature from the new man in the Bayern ranks. Big things expected of the 26-year-old after playing such an integral part in that Napoli side who won the top tier of Italian football last season. And we're hanging around, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you as well, because we might still be getting another post-match interview. So just hold the line on that. And so what we can do now is revisit some of the highlights from this incredible game. And it's fair to say, there were lots of them, 27 to say the least. The fact is, though, there could have been more goals on this wonderful afternoon near Tegernsee in the south of Bavaria. Jamal Musiala was the man who got the action underway. And he scored 5 goals in the end. He was the joint top scorer alongside Marcel Sabitzer and Matisse Tell. But this was all about Bayern producing a dominant performance to brush off some of the summer cobwebs, to get back in action, put some smiles on some faces of both themselves and the fans, and they did that to great effect today. James Thorogood, your match commentator. It's been my pleasure to bring you coverage of this action. We will leave it there. There will be no final post-match interview. What there will be is plenty of coverage of Bayern's pre-season on all of the Bayern social media channels and on fcbayern.com. Don't miss out. It's going to be a cracking season. This, ladies and gentlemen, is just the start. Join us again next time.